Okay, so today our topic is go-to-market strategy and product launch plans. So most of what we've been discussing previously has been or had been about planning for your products before we even get to the stage of testing and planning. So this is part of that conversation. This is planning for your marketing, like what do you want to do for your marketing strategy, like what's the strategy for taking your products to the market or your product to the market, and what's the plan for the launch, right? This is what the entire conversation will be centered around. And part of that will be preparing for launch, go-to-market strategy, which will be popularly called GTM strategy here in your material, versus launch plan. Um, Develop a product launch plan checklist as a product manager. Differences in responsibilities between a product manager and a product marketing manager. Which, by the way, these two responsibilities, they go hand in hand with each other. Um, in in some startups, you won't have a product marketing manager. You would only have a product manager that would double as both a product manager and a product marketing manager. It makes the work more intense, but it can be a good experience for you, especially when you're just starting your career. It If it's offered to you, I do not think you should turn it down, as long as, like, especially as a beginner, you're being given the space to learn versus expected to know everything about marketing. So if that opportunity comes to you, be open-minded. Maybe, like, you would genuinely learn things from it. So introduction, go to market and product launch. Launching a product successfully is the final phase of the product development process and is as crucial as all the preceding steps. As the product manager, you work with a product marketer to develop and execute a working launch plan. Now, while a launch plan and go to market strategy are used interchangeably, they both connote different meanings, and it's important to understand each term so as to know which parts of your responsibilities intersect with that of the product marketing manager, PMM, and those that are solely yours. Okay. So what it's saying here is basically, usually when you hear um, the go-to-market strategy, you also most likely will hear someone talk about the product launch strategy or plan. They are not the same thing, but very often in conversations they are used interchangeably. If someone is saying go-to-market strategy, someone is already thinking about the product launch plan and all that. So it feels like there is no difference between them, but there is a difference between them, and the roles that you play as a product manager for both of them also differ. Like, what you would take on for each of these stages would differ, and how you collaborate, you would need to collaborate with the PMM, the product marketing manager, will also be slightly different. So it says here, a product launch involves introducing either a brand new product or a revamped product to the market. That's what a product launch is. You are either introducing a brand new product or you're introducing a renovated or revamped product to the market. So it's like a reintroduction. For either of the situations, or yeah, for either of these situations, they are all called product launch. Product launch plan involves a strategic rollout steps to generate interest among potential customers and ensure the product is available for purchase on launch day. A successful launch gives the product an edge within the market, rings a bell, and ultimately boosts brand recognition and sales. So it's saying here that a product launch is actually the final steps you take to ensure that when you say, sorry, a product launch plan, when you say that you've launched your product, first of all, your product is accessible, right? Your product is accessible to the users or the consumers. And then not only is it accessible as in reachable, they can use it, right? Okay, for a digital product, when we say this, you're talking about when you go to the app stores, you're able to download it, right? You're talking about digital products. You're able to easily download them. And if you're talking about a web page, the is it a web app, the pages are easy to load, and the links to your page, they are all accessible. That's part of your product plan. How do you ensure that this is the situation when you say we've launched, that nobody's struggling with finding your product on app stores or opening accessing your web app through a browser. And then another thing a successful launch would do is that it generates interest in the supposed consumers, right? Um, you want to have created awareness for or you want to have positioned yourself in the market in a way that you're being expected. So that is part of your product plan. What has been done, product launch plan, what has been done to be able to um, have a space in the market for us, like when we launch, like that we have people interested in the product when it's launched, right? So it's not just that you launch the product. You could launch a product and nobody knows about it, but that when you launch, there are people going to download and view and take a tour of your product. That's part of what your product launch plan is. It says here that a successful plan gives the product an edge within the market. It rings a bell, and it ultimately boosts brand recognition and sales. So think of a go-to-market strategy as a roadmap to get your product into customers' hand. So it outlines how you reach the ideal audience and beat the competition. That's what your go-to-market strategy is a focus on what happens within the market, like how you prepare an existing market to receive your new product, right? Your product launch plan is what you do within the product to prepare it for the market. But your go-to-market strategy, I think in the simplest form, is what you do to prepare the market, the competition, the customers for you. So again, your product launch plan are the final steps that you would take for your product to be accessible when you launch it, for your product to meet expectations. Like these are the things that tightening loose ends within your product, right? Within your product launching, or sorry, within your product development. This is the last phase of your product development, tightening loose ends and ensuring that when you do go to market, it is a functional product. That's basically what your product launch plan is supposed to be about. So you have to tighten loose ends in such a way that your users can access your product. There are no restrictions. Remember when we talked about worrying about the laws in regards to your product or what it is that it offers. Like, remember, there is presently a lot of rules and laws about cryptocurrency exchange and cryptocurrency platforms. So if you're going to launch a crypto product, right, you have to tighten all loose ends. You have to inquire about the updated, because there's always an update on cryptocurrency exchange in Nigeria. Find out where the law is at. The day, like on the day that you're supposed to launch, find out the compliance issues that you could run into with the launch and ensure that you are ready, like you're within your product, you've done everything as within your development of the product to ensure that it's accessible to the users or the potential users. Now, what you're doing with go-to-market strategy is that there are things that you set out, or a list that you set out to do to ensure that the market is ready, that the market is ready for you, or that you've created a space in the market for your product, right? So it says here, The go-to-market strategy is a roadmap to get your product into customers' hand. Yes, it outlines how you will reach the ideal audience and beat the competition. So, like I said, this is a focus on, like, your go-to-market strategy is a focus on the market itself. What makes up the market? Your competition and your users. Those are like, and your users and or potential users. That is what your focus is on, or your plan is on, like when it comes to your go-to-market strategy. It's like a mini business plan focused on launch, right? Considering factors like pricing, getting your products out there. Um, the GTM strategy is not just used for new products. Businesses use them for launching entirely new ventures, introducing existing products to fresh markets. So sometimes you already have a product, but you're trying to get it, like create a new market for it. By new market, it means you're trying to maybe rebrand it or revamp it in such a way that you reach a different audience. Let me give an example with something that is not a digital product. So I'm hoping that maybe if we take it a little bit out of your typical digital products, it would be more relatable to you. Someone like Beyonce. Beyonce has been a millennial generational icon. But then you do know that the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they don't know who Beyonce is really, right? They don't, like, if you're a millennial, the way that a Gen Zer would relate to Beyonce is not like, unless maybe they had older siblings that played Beyonce while they were growing up. But like, imagine growing up in a household where it's all Gen Zers and maybe the last born there is a Gen Alpha, right? What happens is that they don't know people like Beyonce. They don't know people like P Square. They could have heard about them outside, but they don't have any personal relatability to them, like the way that a millennial would. So that's the difference. But then what happened for someone like Beyonce? Beyonce has a child that is not just a Gen Z. She falls into the Gen Alpha, and then like so do her younger siblings. And what she did was to, for her tour, her most recent tour, she brought on that the next generation. And there's a fun aspect to it, but the other aspect is that she wanted kids her age, or kids even slightly older than her or slightly younger than her, to look at, like, seeing someone that is within their age grade or their generation and like get excited about Beyonce's tour, right? And she also found a way to make her daughter into a sensation that her generation can relate to. Now, that generation, they cannot relate to Beyonce herself, right? They can't. Most of the old songs that will be sung during that tour, they can't relate to it. They don't know what is being talked about. And sorry about that. So they can't relate to it, and they don't know what, like, they don't know most of the songs. But just the fact that they get to see Blue Eye, like if I wanted to go to that tour as a very young child, 9 years old, 10 years old, or even 5 years old, what I'll be pushing for is, oh, but Blue Ivy will be dancing. Like, if I'm telling my mom, I'll say, I want to see Blue Ivy. I won't be saying I want to see Beyonce. I don't really have a business with Beyonce like that. So I'll be talking about going to see Blue Ivy entertain or dance, and that becomes the selling point for the younger generation. So now what Beyonce did was to revamp herself and do a transgenerational strategy where what do you call it? Younger kids, the younger generation can relate to the younger generation can relate to her through her kid that is in their generation, or that is a part of their generation. So that's what you do. What she did is to intentionally create a new market for a new market being the younger generation for her product. So her already existing music that had nothing to do with that generation per se, she just ended up doing an addition to her show that would attract them. So that's what you do when you revamp and reintroduce to the market. So for that too, you need an actual marketing strategy for it, right? This started by I think for her, I think Blue Ivy started trending online even before the show started. So that's like she wanted Blue Ivy to be a thing of her own, so that it feels like the younger generation could feel like she's a person on her own and they can relate to her on her own outside of her mom, right? So that was her marketing strategy for that revamping. So that's what a marketing strategy would look like, even if you're not doing a brand new product, you're doing an existing product, but you're trying to create a new market for that. Okay. Please 1 second. Okay. Going back. Okay, so it says here that this plan helps you understand the why behind your launch and who you are selling to and how to convince them your products or services is the answer to their need. So again, a go-to-market strategy is supposed to help you answer questions like why, whom, and how. So the why is why are we launching this, and the whom is to whom are we selling this to, and the how is how do we convince them, which is what marketing is about. How do you create an awareness and a conviction that you are the solution to a problem? That's what you want. That's what you want your marketing strategy to do for you. And it says here, go to market strategy is a comprehensive plan that outlines how you will bring your product or service to market. Go to market strategy is a comprehensive plan that outlines how you will bring your product or service to market, considering factors like target audience, pricing, distribution channels, and competitive advantage. So let's use Kuda, for example. How did Kuda, what do you think the go to market strategy for Kuda was? And or any other fintech, for example, any other fintech, what do you think their plans were for their go to market strategy? What do you think they drew up and decided would what do you think the plan was to conquer the market? Because when you're introducing a product to the market or revamping a product and reintroducing it to a market, it's like going to war because there is competition. There are existing users that already are interested in your competitors and all that, and then there are also non-users, like people that are very new to the market that you want to grab before anyone else grabs them. So it's like you're going to fight a war, right? It's like an unspoken war for you. And when it comes to Kuda, I think something that Kuda did was appeal to the younger generation. Now, first of all, our parents, the boomers or the Gen X, they didn't exactly have any interest in fintechs. I don't. For most of them, they still do not, right? And it was important to grab the younger generation, the people that were interested in instant transactions, faster transactions. For most of your parents, if you left them with going to the banking hall every time they needed to do a transaction, they will be okay with that. You might have heard some of them say things like, I don't trust these new generation banks. I don't trust these digital things. People, why am I transacting with people and I can't see them, and things like that, right? That's a fair complaint. That's a fair worry. But with the younger generation than them, from the millennials all the way down, you don't really care much for seeing people all the time or having to physically communicate with someone to get things done. I don't want to talk to someone to be able to do a transfer or even to complain about discrepancy in, say, my account statement, right? Or yeah, my statement of account from the bank. I want to be able to just log a complaint online and not have to see someone or leave my house to do that. And this appeals to our generation, right? So something else, that if you have captured or you've decided that your market will be a younger generation, then you have to think about what matters to them. When the NSAS movement happened, Kuda was big on it. When there were these little things, Kuda also markets itself through things like BB Niger, or when BB Niger was very brand new and everybody was super excited about it. Kuda would do its marketing and ads through BB Niger, and so did other. I think Money Point is still with BB Niger. I think they still advertise there. So like, your marketing strategy also would have to reflect your market, like your market, basically the people that you are trying to entertain, right? And the people you're trying to entertain are the people you're trying to sell to. So when you're answering the question of why, and you're answering the question of to whom, or who, like this material says, you it also helps you create clarity with what it is you want to do for your marketing, what your ads would look like, right? So, and then it also would help you create certainty or clarity about your distribution channels. What do you want your distribution channels to be? What distribution channel will be more practical for the audience that you're targeting, right? And then what would be your competitive advantage? What is it that you would do to make you stand out amongst all of the competitions, like everybody within this space or this industry? What would you do differently that would make you stand out? Right. I think something that OP has done and continue to do is that OP lets you know when your payment is, or your transfer is pending, like it has not successfully reached the destination. And second thing is that OP is the fastest to do transfers. But OP didn't start off as a microfinance bank, and that has affected the level of trust that people have for them. So why people rush and put their petty cash in OPay and do very quick transfers, they're not very keen on leaving their money or saving their money with OPay. So just what you're supposed to do is consider different aspects of marketing and how you would appear to your target audience at the end of the day. So the pricing will tell your target audience, or the pricing also selects your target audience. You cannot say I'm going for the younger generation and you're selling something that is extremely expensive that only someone with generational wealth can purchase. Then it conquers the idea that you're selling to a younger generation, because there aren't many people in the younger generation that are filthy rich yet. So if you create something like that, that means you're still confused about whom your target audience is supposed to be. And then when you talk about your distribution channels, it has to be something that is accessible to the younger generation if that is your target audience. And or if you say it's the older generation, like the geriatric, the people that are now the geriatrics, that are retired, that are barely able to move their bodies as they used to, they might need help getting up from their seats and whatever. Like if you're going to do if those are going to be your target audience, then you have to think about, how is my product going to be accessible to them? What will be the best distribution channels for them? And then your competitive advantage, what will make you stand out within the competition? What will make you stand out, be the best, or just a feature that will make you have a little advantage over your competition? Okay, it says here, whereas, okay, we're still on trying to differentiate between the product launch plan and the go-to-market strategy. It says here, whereas product launch plan could be seen as part of the go-to-market strategy, it focuses on the specific actions, tactics needed to execute a successful launch. Okay, this includes things like setting a launch date, creating marketing campaigns, and training your team as a product manager. So remember, I did say that much of what is done for product launch plan is that you are preparing your product for the market, whereas your go-to-market strategy is preparing the market for your product, right? This for preparing your product for the market is making sure that your brand and your product are in sync, right? Whatever your branding is, whatever you've decided that your branding is, let it go hand in hand with what your actual product is. Says here, this is to say go-to-market strategy is the big picture, the overall approach and goals for introducing a new product or updated product. Why product launch plan is like your to-do list to achieve those strategies you intend to take your product to the market. The launch plan is essentially the step-by-step guide that operationalizes the strategy. Okay. So again, it says here that your product launch plan is essentially the step-by-step guide that operationalizes the strategy. Okay. So what it's saying here is that go-to-market strategy and product launch plan, they work hand in hand, but there is a difference in the sense that your launch plan, what it does is that it creates whatever your product strategy is, your market strategy is, into operations that you have to carry out before you are able to launch, basically. So again, your launch plan is what you do within your product to prepare it for the market, right? And your go-to-market strategy is the bigger picture of like what you do to prepare the market for your product. So whatever you're doing to prepare your product for the market would definitely flow into what you're doing to prepare the market for your product. Preparing the market is preparing your audience, your target audience, preparing the best means to make your product accessible to them, which will be your distribution channels, and your pricing, deciding on what your pricing would look like. We're talking about subscribers and the amount of money you attach to, or the pricing you attach to each subscription, and all of those things. Now, defining all of this in your launch plan, usually being able to create a clarity for all of this could be a part of your launch plan. But the point is that when you're trying to achieve your go-to-market strategy, you end up being able to prepare a product that is ready to launch. I think that's what the whole thing is. When you're trying to achieve your go-to-market strategy, you end up creating a to-do list that covers what you need to do to be able to say that you have launched a successful product. So again, they go hand in hand, but just the slight difference is that your launch plan is more focused on finishing your product, like finishing or having a to-do list to check based on operations, like what are the things that you would do operationally to say that you're ready to launch. Whereas the market is more about the external things that you would do for the market to be prepared for you, right? And let's see here the differences between your go-to-market strategy and your product plan. I'm sorry if at any point you're unable to hear me, please do let me know, or my voice goes too low, please do let me know. Here we have the focus. The go-to-market strategy is the big picture, the overall approach, whereas your product launch plan is specific actions and tactics. And then we have the scope. The scope is that the go-to-market strategy is more comprehensive, whereas your product launch plan is more is more launch execution focused, like what do we do to this product to ensure that it's perfectly ready for the market, right, to be introduced to the market. So it's focused on improving or doing the final touches, dotting all I's and crossing all T's to ensure that we are ready for launching, versus an entirely entirely inclusive plan for both the market and introducing the product itself. Timelines. The go-to-market strategy is more long-term, and it considers the entire product life cycle. And then the product launch plan is more short plan and focuses on launch window, like what do we launch, what are the activities to be done to launch. Components, the target market profiles, the marketing plan, the sales and distribution strategy, the competitive analysis. Okay, these are the things that you have to consider, or the components or subtitles that you have to consider or take into consideration when creating your go-to-market strategy. Um, your product launch plan, however, has your launch dates, your marketing campaigns, and the training materials. The reason the marketing campaign falls into your product launch plan is that your marketing campaign, they need to be prepared to match what you have with your product. I do hope I will do justice to this explanation. If your marketing campaign is prepared ahead of time with no consideration to the product itself and the final product itself, what that would look like and how the launch will go and all that, you might end up veering off the track for what you want for your product. But if this goes hand in hand or becomes a component that you consider in your product launch plan, then you're able to align your marketing campaign with the product itself, for which a lot of marketing campaign could also happen within the product. So that's why it becomes a part of the product launch plan. And then you have your training materials. Mind you, there is a training plan or a training that goes on with launching a product, where you prepare all your stakeholders for the product that is about to be launched. You prepare the customer experience team, you prepare the fraud team, for example, if we are talking about a fintech, and then you prepare the medical team if you're talking about a healthcare app. You prepare, like when I said the medical team, the medical consultants that give you information on the medical space or the Nigerian medical industry or space or healthcare space. Those consultations, and there will be training to introduce them to the product. So you usually have to introduce your internal stakeholders to your product before it is launched. The goal is that the same way that you are preparing for launch, they have to be prepared for the launch, right? If, for example, we are a healthcare app, we're creating a healthcare app, and we have 15 doctors that have signed on with us to be reached out to for consultation online. You can't just launch your product without having them as part of your training. You will need to train them on how to use their dashboard for your products, right? There'll most likely be a dashboard for them, how to log in as a doctor, and how you will also have to show them. Most times you do a demo, you will show them what the screen looks like for their clients or their potential clients that will be reaching out to them, and what they will be seeing. Like, it's like you're showing them what your clients will be seeing and what you will be seeing, so that sometimes when they would have to be the ones to direct their clients on how to use the product, they can do a good job at it. Or if there is a glitch or whatever, you don't want someone that is lost as your user to be the face or the representation for your product. So that's why training materials are a very important aspect of product launch plan. The goal for go-to-market strategy is that you reduce launch risk, right? Launch risk with the market. You achieve sustainable growth, and then if you've prepared the market for your product, in the sense that if you've created enough awareness to build anticipation for your product, then you're able to gain a market share and start to build a growth, right, from your market share. And then you also want to gain competitive advantage when you launch or with your market strategy. And then the goal for a product launch plan is that it creates successful product launch, and then the goal is that it should create a successful product launch, meaning that it should be smooth and easy to use your product once you've launched, right? So, of course, there is no product without a bug. one or two bucks and all that. But the goal is that the transition into being a potential customer and becoming an actual user depends on how well you prepared for your launching, like how good your launch plan was and how you prepared your products for launching, right? And your product launch plan, one of its goals is that it should generate initial sales and buzz, right? You want to be in a space where, because of the ease of transitioning from a potential to a user, you are able to achieve initial sales and a buzz within the market. The benefits: a go-to-market strategy increases revenue, it improves brand recognition, which is what marketing is all about in the first place. It reduces cost, and for the product launch plan, there is faster time to market, and it increases sales and leads, and it enhances brand awareness. Of course, the product launch checklist. Product launch checklists are essential to ensure a smooth and successful launch. They act as a roadmap guiding your team through every step of the process. This includes identifying all the tasks, assets, and potential pitfalls to avoid. By following a checklist, you eliminate the risk of overlooking crucial steps or missing vital materials. This is not so different from trying to go shopping and you have a list that you need to check off every item on your list to be able to say that I have successfully gone to the market and achieved my goal for the market. That's the whole reason for a product launch checklist, right? Um, your product launch checklist is supposed to help you um, achieve your goal, and tick off items that you've achieved and what needs, like, what needs to be done, or what has been achieved, or what is ongoing. And it helps you keep up with all the things that are in your product requirements, right? You have a product requirements. You know what it is, all the features that you want to exist within your product. You know the functionalities you want to exist within your product. When you're doing your product launch, it's like, what are the things that I want to achieve? Um, like, what how do I want my product to appear in the market? What do I want my product to do in the market? What space do I want my product to occupy when it's launched? So part of that is that you want easy access, you want no restriction, and then you want performance. You want performance of your product. You want little to no bugs existent in your product. So you have a checklist, and let me go from here. So you have your launch date. Now, for every promised launch date, you must launch. You cannot fail at launching on your launch date. It, like, even if some things are still missing, you need to launch. Like, you cannot promise it. I am not saying that people have not done it, but it doesn't look good to your investors. It doesn't look good to your competition. It doesn't look good to your potential users. So if you've created anticipation for your product, you want to meet up with the anticipation that you have created. And part of what your marketing campaign does, it's also says coming soon, right? Like, part of what you've done with your marketing is that you've promised something, and you've promised it on a particular date. So you need to meet up with that date. That's part of what you will need to check off. And then you have your training schedule. You have to meet up with your training schedule, because if all the stakeholders are trained and ready, whatever comes with launching the product, so you will be able to handle it, both good and bad, or maybe not bad, but unexpected situations. You'll be able to handle it, right? And that is the whole point of a product launch checklist. As a product manager, you are in a unique position to oversee all the cross-functional work required to bring the new experience to market. As a product manager, you sit at the core of any organization you find yourself, especially startups. This is why in some organizations they are regarded as mini CEOs. You collaborate across teams to deliver on product vision and ensure that product launches go off seamlessly. Again, the whole point of what you're doing with your product launch plan is to ensure that there is smooth launching. You don't want to launch and then there's a lot of complaints of we can't download. Your download link doesn't work. Your the It's not in the app store, or it says pending in the app store, or it says coming soon in the app store. It's not accessible and all that. If that happens, then guess who is to blame? The product manager. It was your role or your responsibility to ensure that this and the integration with app store, different app stores, be it Android or Apple, that your product could be easily downloaded and accessed through the App Store. And if that fails, and there is no seamless transition from being a potential user to being an actual user, it falls on the product manager. Um, to avoid terrible oversight in executing product launch plans, checklists are invaluable tools for a product manager in many aspects of your responsibility, from everyday processes to product launches. Okay, so something I do when I am performing in my role as a product manager. Every day I have a list of the things that I want to achieve for my products, right? If say I'm managing two products, and one is a healthcare product. For my healthcare product, if today I was supposed to have a conversation with health insurance plans, or health insurance like HMOs, right? That employers and their employees subscribe to and all that. And I'm supposed to enter a conversation with them today, or today was scheduled for a meeting with them. Not necessarily a marketing meeting, but it's a business meeting. We serve them and they serve us. This conversation was supposed to aid that integration, right? And you schedule a meeting. When I'm making my list, whatever meeting comes first or is the most important, I write it first, right? And the reason I would write it first is that I already have all the reminders that I need. So I'm going to be reminded, of course, close to time. But I'm writing it first for me so that I can prepare for that meeting. So if the meeting is by 3, I am, of course, going to do my stand up for the day, and now just working on my requirements, my general requirements for my product. So part of that general requirement is to have a relationship with HMOs, right? And sign documents with the HMOs. I need to be able to review documents that they've sent to us and all that, and have a conversation with the legal team in preparation for my meeting with them, an external meeting. Now you can flop with your meeting, like with your internal stakeholder situations, but where you cannot flop is communication with your external stakeholders. You need to be regarded with a lot of respect. You need to be able to say, we notice that this is a clause on our agreement with you. We are yet to sign, but we would like to understand this before we sign and send it to you. Because if it is this, we are assuming that this is what it says, and that is, if that is the case, we cannot go into this agreement with you because this. So, if you've not studied the documents, for example, that have been sent over to you as part of concluding this deal or this partnership, then how would you have conversations about the clauses in the document? How would you have conversations even with your legal team within, like your internal legal team? How would you have a conversation about this documentation that was sent to you even before your main meeting with the external stakeholders? So what a checklist does for you basically is to prepare you for all of the requirements or responsibilities that would come with your day-to-day activities, yes, but we're talking about the product launch for now. So whatever activities or operational activities that have been included in your product launch, your checklist allows you to say, I have done this and I need to review this. I haven't done this because if there's a reason you're not getting to something, your checklist allows you remember that this exists and I still need to do it, right? And that's the importance of a product launch checklist. A strong launch plan begins by looking back at your previous experiences. Then you dive into an analysis of the past launches, reflect on past launches, like both successful and failed ones. Then identify what went well and areas for improvement. And then you evaluate your collaboration, assess collaboration within the team. Was communication clear? Did everyone understand their roles and their responsibilities? And expectation clarity. Did everyone have a clear understanding of the goals and the expectations for the launch? So, um, understanding the goal for the entire product is a different thing from understanding the goal for the launch. What do we want for the launch? Most times, what we want for a launch is that we have a functional MVP, right? For the most times, this is what happens. We want a product that reflects everything that we want the product to do, and we want navigation to be easy. We want all the features to be functional, right? The features might not have every single thing you plan to put in it, but for everything that it would have, like in the present, though everything like that it's a basic feature. Yes, everything that is a basic feature for your product needs to be functional. That's like your goal when you're launching a product for the first time. And it's important that everybody is clear on that. Every stakeholder is clear on that. And when you're evaluating your collaboration, part of what you're evaluating is communication. How well have I communicated our goals? How well have I communicated everybody's responsibility? And how is this reflecting itself on our launch stages, like where we are presently? How is that reflecting itself? What is left to be done, and why is it still something pending, right? And then you also check with if you've had other products or features that you've launched, you start asking yourself questions like, what how did I fail in this, or what did I do that was so great about this? Um how can I do this or carry this over to this new launch, and so that I can be successful with this new launch as well? Or what did I fail at so that I can eliminate it in my process with this new launch? Okay. And by capturing these insights, you can build a stronger foundation for iterative improvement. For iterative improvements, once you someone's mic is on mute.
Full. 2 plus, 3 plus.
Okay. Um. Okay. By capturing these insights, you can build a stronger foundation for iterative improvement. Once you have done that, define a clear product launch strategy. This will ensure everyone on the team understands the goals and how the launch aligns with the overall product and company objectives. Then develop a detailed plan outlining the specific tasks and responsibilities for each team involved. This plan will guide them in creating the new customer experience, right? So remember what I said about training every stakeholder and preparing them for the new product. Now, there are aspects of a new product that might need special support, for example, and you want to be able to prepare whomever will be providing that support to your users, maybe when they reach out, or just being prepared to provide that support. You want to train them to be ready for it. So, part of your launch checklist or just your launch plan is that your communication is at its peak and everybody understands what it is they need to do or they would need to do um when you're ready to launch or as you prepare to launch. The content of product launch checklist. Number one is for the product. You have the feature definition. You want to ensure that your engineering teams have clear priorities, feature sizing, and complete documentation to begin development. Okay. The UI UX design. What does your design look like? Especially you want to provide your designers with all UX research, the wireframes, and specifications needed to design the product interface. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Um, so we talked about the feature definition. You want your feature, your features, every single feature of your product defined, and also responsibility, ensuring that your engineering team that everyone on the engineering team is very clear on what the priorities are. What are the first things we want to do? What are the first features we want to implement? And what do we want them to look like? The sizing and the design, and then okay, for the design you want to provide the results of the UX research to your designing team, right? And you want to provide them wireframes and specifications needed to design the product interface. Like they'll ask you, they themselves would even ask you certain questions, um, like for the components that you want to see on your design. So even before you start coming up with it, they would already have started asking you questions that will construct an idea of what you want, because you've already provided a wireframe, right? With your wireframe, they have an idea of what exactly it is you want, as well as I can't remember the name. The, when I remember it, I'll talk about it. Um, so basically, you've already created a picture of what it is that you want them to do for you, and then the flow, the product flow, right? So they have an idea. So now they'll be asking you questions about specifications themselves, and if you have some that you're going to add to it to make sure that you are on the same page, you also provide that to them. Um, so there will be specifications of what each team will be doing. The engineering team will build the core features, likely in a series of prints, right? And then the QA and operations will test and deploy the new features um, to production smoothly. And then, so I do hope you people know that the first thing that you build, like after the engineering team has built your MVP, the first thing you do is to test, right? You you deploy to testing, right? And then after the testing environment, you move on to the production environment. So that's where you have your final. That's where you do your actual launching deployment, and it exists for the public to use, right? Um, that's where that happens. You define what success for your products would mean, what it would look like, what criteria you want your products to meet, for you to say that um, you've successfully done what was set out to be done for a particular feature and or functionality or performance. So it says here, meet with your stakeholders to agree on which metrics will determine success for the product launch. For example, what will determine success for the product? Is it number of app downloads or transaction count? Define it. So sometimes you might need even the data team to have this conversation and figure out what it is that best suits, because for each product there is always a lot of metrics that you could use as a yardstick to determine if your product is successful, or that if your launch, or yeah, if your launch is successful, or if you've completed your task for the product, right? But you want to be like the clarity and certainty about what it is that makes the final decision on completion or success should be determined by everybody involved. and with that you can check yourself or check your team on how far you've come or what more needs to be done. The system, if they under the system we have infrastructure, you have to make necessary adjustments to internal monitoring systems like analytics, traffic management, and product administration tools. Okay, you you have to deal with the billing, update existing billing options and functionalities to support the new product experience. The finance, establish key systems to track financial metrics associated with the new product, or update that updates that generate additional revenue. So you have to worry about the infrastructure of your products, things like um, administration tools. Uh, Let me give an example. I created a cryptocurrency platform before, or I built um, a cryptocurrency platform before, and we had to also build a dashboard for us, right? The dashboard with which we are monitoring um, the activities of all of our users, right? So we needed to be able to see the activities of the users. With that, we're able to also get analytics from that dashboard for us. So when people sign up, we're able to see that and all those details, all those little details, and the activities they do, how long they spend on the app, and all that. And then you also have to you're also able to collect information on traffic management and all that. And then there is the billing. With all the integrations that you would do, there will be a lot of API integrations or partnerships, and then that would reflect on your pricing policy. So your billing and then your pricing, they'll go hand in hand. And we also want to do a financial metrics tracking, so that will like relate to your product, and you want to know what your plan is for that. And then number three is your actual launch plan. So the first two are just things that lead to having a final product, and then your launch plan is like you're set to launch. Set a launch date, set a target launch date and time, and communicate it clearly to all stakeholders. Pricing and packaging. What do you want your pricing to be? What's your pricing model? How do you benefit? Like, what does your profit margin look like for your product? This could be per subscription or just per transaction. Like when they transact, you get money from it, or when they subscribe to something, or when they if it's a fintech app, you want to be able to know where you can make your profits from. Do you want to make profits from each transaction, like each transfer, or are you making profit from things like um, what do you call that? Are you making your profits from things like savings? Like there are some policies of savings that make you money as a fintech, and then there are some policies on withdrawals that also make you money as a fintech. And then now that fintechs have to pay CBN a certain amount of money, I think it's a maintenance fee kind of thing, and it's compulsory. You also have to factor that in and how it will affect your income from your app. And then positioning, develop a positioning document or creative brief outlining a key messaging for the launch. This should be based on the product vision, new functionalities, and the value proposition for end users. So your positioning is how you want to be viewed, right? Like basically, how you want to place yourself within the market. Like, what do you want to be seen as, right? If I was creating a healthcare product, I'll be creating a healthcare product that allows young people access healthcare services without the shame of having to interact with people for simple healthcare services and all that. That like I'll go that angle, I'll go that route that there is the hospital in your pocket basically, or there is consultation in your pocket. Now, if that is what you're going for, then your it will match your product vision, it will match your the value proposition to your end users. Like when you're, especially with your ads and marketing, you need to have been putting that out there, that this is what you're positioning yourself as and what you see want your end users to see you as. Communications plan define how the launch will be announced internally and externally, of course. Marketing content, create a new messaging for the product website, advertising, and marketing campaign. So, for every campaign that you would do, social media campaign, physical campaigns like going to, if it's a product that students will be using campuses, or you could have campus ambassadors. You want to be able to make a decision on how you want to handle that. And then your launch related contents, including emails, webinars, landing pages, and all that. Your landing page is always an important aspect of your launching. The language in it will start to change, the wheels will become have, and all that. So the social media, develop launch announcement, content, and campaign materials for your social media channels. Relations, there are people that do media rounds, actually go and sit down, and now that we have podcasts, go and sit down with podcasts and talk about a new product or a new service within your product that is already existing, and create awareness for it, or have customers attest to it. Just have customers and get interviewed and attest to it. um, Analyst briefings, reach out to relevant industry analysts or influencers to brief them on the new product and its significance. Sometimes this will not require any money to pay for. Yeah. So you want to reach out to relevant industry analysts or influencers. I think with this, a social media channel like LinkedIn will be very helpful to be able to reach out to analysts to have a conversation, and just I'm just talking to them about your product, put the word out there, and before you know it, someone is talking to someone about your product, and it becomes a part of your launch plan, like part of the things that you want to do to be able to launch. And you have the sales report, the documentation, complete and approve all product documentation, including release notes, user guides, and troubleshooting guides, FAQs and technical databases. Okay. Remember that someone needs to go through the FAQs. Um, and the FAQs usually are actually prepared for the customer experience team. Like you want to create, assume, of course, when you're creating FAQs, you're also assuming personas. So from your personas that you had created earlier, all those are assumptions you've made, you're able to create what questions could come from each persona, right? What are some challenges they could face trying to use the product, possible challenges they could face trying to use the products. You create your FAQ from that and create responses for it. Or sometimes for more established firms, you don't need to create responses. You just give the CXM the FAQs, um, the questions for the FAQs, and they'll figure out and run it by you. Of course, they will send you back responses that they've prepared if that's the situation. If not, you have to create the questions and the answers yourself. And then you also have to create troubleshooting guides. This will usually come from the engineering team, right? For your troubleshooting guide, you want them to be the ones to say this is how to do this. But if someone complains that they are unable to do this, tell them to go back to this page and then go to this page and click on this. So you want to create a troubleshooting guide for the CX team or whomever it is who might come in communication or contact with a user. Stress sales strategy and training. Train the sales team and develop sales collateral that highlights the new features and updates. Um, Customer success. I've talked about training the customer experience team a lot, and the service team. Everybody that sits at the forefront of um, your products or that interacts with your users and their experience with your product. it's important that they are trained for the launching and are prepared for the launching. Then your partners, you want to prepare your partners for your product, the launching of your product, because um, especially if these are partners that deal with things like integration, or like things that people that like provide services to you in one way or another. Because when you launch, you might have a lot of incoming. If say the services someone is providing to you is email services, so you're able to send bulk official emails to through the app to your users. You want your partners to be prepared for the amount of requests and questionings that will come in once you've launched. That would usually happen. So there is no crashing, and there is no interruption with your ability to communicate with your users. Feedback. Review, conduct a team review and discuss key learnings from the launch and identify areas. Okay, basically what you're supposed to do with your feedback is collect or collect information that you've received from your users or the testers. Like, when I say testers, I mean they might not be users, but they've come to view your product and give you a review. Collect everything that you receive from that, and work on it, and do a follow up. And even after you fixed or done some improvements based on this feedback, you want to be able to do a follow up and say like and find out what the impression is post improvement, and then you want to monitor your success metrics. Differences in responsibilities between a product manager and a PM and a product marketing manager. A product marketing manager wears many hats with a strong emphasis on marketing initiatives. So their responsibilities, they have a lot of things that they have to achieve or get done, but at the core of their responsibility is marketing. What is when you want to find out who is responsible for how the brand is known, the position that the brand takes in the market, the position it takes with the competition in the market, and its ability to grab new users. This has to do with the product marketing manager. To achieve their goals, PMMs collaborate extensively with various marketing specialists, such as marketing, social media marketing, brand marketing, and market research. A product manager focuses on product strategy to create, distribute, sell, and obtain feedback on a specific product, largely digital products. They set the strategy and roadmap for the product, working with cross functional teams to define and execute product success. In some companies, especially startups, the product manager usually takes up the role of a product marketing manager. I already mentioned this, that even though for the product manager, their main goal is to ensure that the product development process is smooth, and to remove roadblocks for every stakeholder involved in the product development. Um, Even though this is their primary goal, they also end up needing to perform in as a product marketing manager when there is not one that has been provided for them. From their definitions, product managers guide a product development internally, while product marketing managers help handle the external communication about the product. Differences between a PM and a PMM. The focus for a product manager is internally guiding the product development. And then for the marketing manager, the marketing communication is usually an external communication situation that they have to handle. And then responsibilities and roles. The product manager defines product vision and this vision and roadmap. They oversee the design and development, and they manage product backlog and collaborate with engineers and designers. For a PMM, they develop go-to-market strategy, they create messaging and positioning, and they manage launch and campaigns and contests. and then they analyze customer feedback to allow them know, like this analysis will let them know which of the marketing efforts is having the most successful results or the least successful results, so that they can either be discontinued or enhanced on. um, the pre-launch, a product manager conducts market research and defines product requirements and prioritizes features. So it's the responsibility of a product manager to prioritize features and choose which one holds more priority than the rest. For a PMM, they interpret market research and they influence products. They influence product features and UX, that's user experience. They also assist with naming and packaging, because part of what you would do for your branding is even the naming. The name that you choose would have to reflect the services or the product that you are rendering. Then the launch, for a PM, they have to ensure that the product is functional and performs. And okay, you have to ensure that the product is functional. Whereas for the PMM, they have to make sure that you're catching up or meeting up with the launch timeline for your product. Because, of course, through marketing, you've established that there will be a launch of a new product on a certain date or a particular date. So it becomes tied to the responsibility of the PMM to ensure that you keep up with your launch timeline. And then the post launch, um, the PM monitors product performance, whereas a PMM analyzes user feedback and proposes product improvements. So through the feedbacks from users, the PMM is able to tell what needs to be improved and propose how that can be gone about. And then the skills for a product manager will be technical understanding, being able to understand. No one is requesting that you must know how to code, but you need to, unless you're a technical product manager, then maybe the requirements would be a bit different. But if you're a product manager, it becomes important that you understand the technical process for the engineering teams and the designing teams, right? Even the QA, the quality analyst team, you are quality analysis team. You need to be able to understand their process, right? Especially with each product that you are working on or feature that you are working on, it becomes your responsibility to understand what the process that they would have to go through. So your follow up is based on the processes or the stages that they have to go through. um, Project management, your ability to manage projects, because within um, the product development life cycle, there are different projects that you have to manage. One of them will be partnerships, right? For example, if part of your project is partnership management, and I'm talking about the marketing aspect of partnership management, I'm talking about the management of relationships or creating relationships that would lead to integrations for your products and make it a functional product. That becomes your responsibility, right? It becomes part of the many projects that you have to touch upon within your development cycle for your product. um, Product development expertise, you need to understand the development processes, all of them, and be able to advise based on your understanding and your expertise. Analytical thinking, of course, you're doing some analysis of data. You'll be provided data from time to time, or you could be given access to collect this data. It could be from GitHub or anywhere else to collect this data, and it's up to you to have an understanding of what this data implies, um, or why this data is the way it is, and be able to work on it to make improvements. For a product marketing manager, the skills expected is a communication and storytelling skill, a marketing and branding skill, content creation skill, and a customer focus skill. So your marketing efforts all have to be customer focused. Then the tools for a product manager will be project management tools like Trello, Jira, and ClickUp. Um, And then for design and prototyping is the Figma and FigCharm. And then product analytics tools will be Mixpanel, Amplitude, and Metabase. Then the QA tools is app distribution. Okay. And then the market research tools um, is Typeform, content creation and management tools, Canva and Buffer. I think most people know how to use Canva to create designs or simple designs for flyers. Because part of, especially with everything being digital now, part of what you will create is a lot of digital notices or awareness. And sometimes you might not get the chance to reach out to a designer to do that for you. And it just makes your work faster if you're able to handle certain tools by yourself. And then marketing automation tools like most likely email marketing or SMS marketing is MailChimp. So Chimp has SMS and it has mail. So it depends on what it is you want. Do you want to do automated marketing through emails, or you want to do automated marketing through SMS? I think SMS, most people don't rely on SMS as much anymore. So most automated marketing goes through email. So this is our last slide for this session. Now I want to do a quick review of what we've discussed. We discussed preparing for lunch and an understanding of what the difference between go-to-market strategy and a product launch plan is. Remember, your product launch plan is what you do within the product to prepare it for the market, and your go-to-market strategy are things that you do to prepare the market for your product, right? To how you penetrate the market successfully to create a position for your product, and then also what you do to create a positioning a proper propositioning for your target audience. It's part of your go-to-market strategy. So we discussed your product launch list, creating a product launch, and creating a product launch plan, and then having a list that makes those plans operational. And those lists, checking them and noting what needs to be done or what is ongoing would help you ensure that you cover every aspect of your plan or launch plan. And then the differences and responsibilities between a product manager and a product marketing manager, and also how both people can work hand in hand to assist or see the product come to its final destination. And with that said, this brings us to the end of our session today. It's already almost 5. I think I can take. I think I can consider one or two questions. I might not take it if it's out of this topic, but if it's within this topic, then we can take the question. And please, if you have a question, do well to raise your hands, and you'll be unmuted and called upon to ask your questions. And if there are no questions, that means I have successfully explained myself, and with no doubts in your mind, you can apply everything that has been talked about today and have a conversation about everything that has been talked about today. And that is a great outcome. So I want to thank everybody for being present today and being a part of the session today. Remember to stay encouraged to continue on your journey. And again, you would be able to get a response to your assignment or submission before close of business on Monday. Thank you for your patience and for being here today. Do have a great day, and see you tomorrow for the next session.